Confessions of a Class Clown, Chapter 12, Let's Make a Deal. The Pokemon theme song wiggles its way into everyone's heads and refuses to leave. On Friday, people are singing it in the halls or whistling it during class. We even got Miss Campbell to play it during the 10 minutes of free time she gives us every Friday. People seem to like my talent, so if worse comes to worse and I can't find a partner, I could sing another song. Repeating myself isn't ideal though. It's not up to my standard. Going into speed friendshipping today, I have two goals. Find another talent show partner, and 2, convince Brielle to feature me on her MyTube. Even though I'm not actively using my own account, I can still show up on other people's. Mom created her own MyTube to snoop on me, but since she's not friends with Brielle, she wouldn't see the tag. In the drama room, the chairs are set up the same way as last Friday, with 2 rows facing each other. This time, there's no popsicle sticks and no desk between the chairs, just empty space. Most of the people like last time are back, like Michael Lee, Larissa the Weasel owner, Mei Ling, Tasha, Mario, Perry, and Brielle. I still don't get why she comes, but I'm glad she's here since we need to talk. About 10 extra people showed up who weren't here last time, including Axel, which surprises me. He doesn't seem like the type of kid who'd want to join an after-school program. He doesn't even show up to class half the time. Luckily, Principal Duncan is gone today. I definitely won't miss him scowling at me. Instead, Mr. Busby stands next to a tall, thin lady whose hair poofs up in the back. Her brown lipstick against her white skin makes it look like she just ate a chocolate bar. She walks over to Tasha and says, "Hey you, long time no see," before crouching down to chat with her. I wonder how they know each other. Mr. Busby nods at me. "Glad to see you here again, Jack." He straightens his purple skinny tie over his black shirt and walks in front of the "You belong here" phrase on the whiteboard. "Take your seats." It'd be too obvious I want something if I paired up with Brielle immediately, so I sit a couple seats down on the opposite side of her. Mario and Perry are in the green chair row with me, so I won't get paired with either of them. Thank goodness. Mario and I had started the fade out phase of our friendship, and it's always awkward to make small talk with someone you used to hang out with. He hasn't said anything to me since this morning, so I think we're both moving on. Mr. Busby motions down the center of the rows. You may have noticed there are no popsicle sticks today. That's because I think you guys are creative enough to come up with your own questions. I sit cross-legged on my chair. It's because you didn't feel like writing more popsicle sticks question, isn't it? He chuckles. Okay, there might have been a teeny part of it, but I also believe conversations are more enjoyable when you get to ask what you want to know. He points to a sentence he's written on the top corner of the whiteboard. To be interesting is to be interested. That's a quote from Dale Carnegie. He wrote the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Win friends? Michael says. That sounds like tricking people into liking you. It might sound that way, but it's not about manipulating. It's about genuinely being interested in what someone has to say. People love talking about themselves, so let them. Ask your partner about their hobbies, their dreams, their background. Sometimes people will surprise you. This is getting too touchy-feely for me. Did you bring pizza? I asked to lighten the mood. Even better, I bought Jolly Ranchers. He holds up the bag, smiling as if they're actually as good as pizza. Psh, I have 1 billion Jolly Ranchers stocked up from last Halloween. I'm not patient enough for that candy. I end up biting them and they get stuck in my teeth. I fold my arms. Doesn't sound like you really listened to what I suggested last week. I hear your concerns, Mr. Busby sets down the bag. But like I said, we have budget issues. He claps. Okay, we're upping the talking time to 3 minutes. For the first half, those in the green chairs will lead the conversation. And then you'll switch. He clicks a button on his watch. Start. The kid in front of me is in my science class, but we never talk. All I know about him is his name is Kevin, and he likes to sit in the front of every seating change because he has a hard time seeing the board. I'm supposed to lead the conversation, but talking about his eyesight sounds less than thrilling. I finally come up with, "What's your favorite Pokemon?" Mostly because the song's still stuck in my head. "I don't pay attention to Pokemon," Kevin sneers, like it's oh so beneath him. What did Pokemon ever do to you? I almost asked, but it's not worth getting into a 3-minute argument with some dude I barely know. Well, what's your favorite movie? I asked and said. I don't know, I watch TV more than movies. This guy can't even answer a question as simple as what's your favorite movie? How on earth am I supposed to find him interesting? I stared blankly and almost resorted to asking about his eyesight. But my favorite TV show is probably the Great British Bake Off, he offers. It's a competitive baking show. From there, I'm able to ask him about baking, which isn't really my thing, but it gets him talking enough that I mostly have to nod and not think of more questions. I even convince him to bring cookies to Speed Friendshipping next Friday, which are much better than Jolly Ranchers, so at least something good came out of this. And it's his turn to lead. He asked me about my favorite TV show, but I end up telling him about my favorite MyTube channels instead. He doesn't understand the humor of most of Paxton Poker's pranks, but he seems mildly interested in the sword fight with the French bread. Even though I can't answer his questions about the type of baguettes they use, or whether they were topped with sesame seeds. My next partner is Michael, who I bribed with marshmallows yesterday. We talk about the tryouts and he asked me how life is without my partner, which is nice because I get to vent about how terrible and unfair my parents are. I could ask him if he wants to join my act, since he'll be at the talent show anyway, but something tells me to wait until I'm totally sure I'm choosing the right partner. I have 2 weeks, so I don't have to rush it. In fact, it might even be best to ask someone a few days before the show so they have less time to drop out. Next up is Brielle. She smiles when I take the seat in front of her, almost like she doesn't mind it's me. Well, if it isn't our resident chatterbox, I say. Have you been talking during class lately? She rolls her eyes. Hello, Jack. Always a pleasure. I want to get straight to my proposal, but I'm not sure how to bring it up. It's probably best to soften her up with some flattery. Great job at tryouts, by the way. How long have you been dancing? I've taken classes since I was 3. She glances at the women volunteer pacing down the aisles. My mom is kind of intense like that. Hers and Mario's both. Lots of intense mothers around these parts. Well, it paid off. It was amazing. Thanks. I worked hard on it, though I know it might not have been as exciting as yours. She's worrying about being exciting again. There's not going to be a better time to bring up my offer than now. Look, I rest my forearms and on my knees and lean in. This might be weird to say, but I saw some jerk on your MyTube channel saying that you're boring and stuck up and stuff like that. I just wanted to let you know that I don't think that's true. I used to think that was true, although I can't admit it out loud. But for some reason, my opinion changed, even though Brielle herself didn't. Someone truly stuck up wouldn't come back to Speed Friendshipping after all. Brielle sniffs and looks down. I hope I didn't embarrass her. She'd probably rather forget about those comments. That's really nice, Jack, she finally says. But it's not just one troll. A lot of people agree. Here's the thing. They're totally wrong. But I can see how you might come off that way to people who don't know you. Your MyTube is all full of makeup tutorials, fashion stuff, and all that. Maybe you can lighten things up. Make a funny video every now and then. She shakes her head and lets out a sharp, "Ha! I'm terrible at being funny. It would just be awkward if I try." Here's where I come in. I shrug and look at my nails. I mean, I can help you if you want. We could do a video or two together. That way people can see that you have a sense of humor. Brielle eyes me suspiciously. Why would you want to help me? It's not like we're friends, no offense. I grab the back of my neck. I didn't plan for a line of questioning. I'm really a good person, I squeak out. She crosses her arms. Tell me the real reason, or I don't need your help. Okay. My parents grounded me from my phone and MyTube. I miss it, she nods slowly. So you're afraid if you stop posting, then people will forget about you. Forget about me? I laugh uncomfortably. She stares at me like she's playing psychiatrist, looking deep into my soul, which I definitely didn't give her permission to do. Nah, I just like making videos. So what do you think? Can we help each other? She bites her lip. I guess we can do one video, just to see how it goes. Not anything gross, like blowing milk out of our noses or anything like that. So you've seen my videos. The milk one was my first. Just a couple, she blinks, but I've never seen that one. Not that I'm surprised it exists. So, what do you have in mind? The woman volunteer walks up to us and lingers. Having fun? She asks perkily, her bright white teeth shining between her brown lipstick. I nod, but Brielle turns pink and glares at the woman. The woman gets the hint and moves down the aisle. I've never seen Brielle act rude to an adult before. Wait, they're both blonde and have light blue eyes. Is that your mom? Brielle shushes me angrily and then composes herself, tucking her hair behind her ear and straightening up her chair. It doesn't matter. We were talking about your video idea. I want to ask about why she's so embarrassed, but Busby could ring the bell any second, and I'm running out of time. There's this thing I've been wanting to try. We'd have to be somewhere where lots of people are walking around. Maybe the mall? What's the idea? Yeah, the mall would work. When can you meet up? She pulls up her phone calendar. I'm pretty busy this weekend, but I can probably do something tomorrow between 12 and 1:30. Now stop avoiding the question. What's the idea? Switch, says Mr. Busby. Too bad, I stand. Guess we'll have to keep you in suspense. You're the worst. Meet me at the mall tomorrow at noon in front of the food court, in front of hot dog on a spork. I won't have my phone, so you can't text me if you're late. I'm never late. Getting Brielle there is only half the challenge. Getting her to participate will be the other. Because if she thinks having her mom at speed friendshipping is embarrassing, then I'm not sure what she'll be up for or what I've planned. Unless it turns out what Mr. Busby said is true. Sometimes people will surprise you. Tasha, it's so awkward that Brielle and I haven't talked since we hung out last Saturday. I only came to speed friendshipping because I thought she wouldn't show up anyway. But when I walked into the drama room, the first thing I saw was Brielle sitting there, ankles crossed down at the side of her chair, like how they teach princesses to sit in movies. I almost walked back out the doors, but I knew that would look pretty strange. Instead, I made sure to sit in the same row so we wouldn't be forced to talk. Plus, Mario was sitting in the opposite row, and I wanted to get paired with him. Can you blame me? Mario has the cutest dimple on his chin and the kind of smile that makes you forget what you were saying in mid-sentence. His hair looks permanently windblown, even when it's not windy. During our turn, he told me about his favorite sports, and I told him about my fashion designs. Talking to him is comfortable. It never feels like he's digging through his mind for something to say. I bet he's the kind of person I could even talk to about DeAndre, and he wouldn't be weird about it. Even talking to Jack was fun today. He taught me about the art of T-Rexing. I'm not planning on busting out roaring anytime soon, but it was amusing nonetheless. Brielle and I, however, didn't exchange any words besides hi. Her mom ended up talking to me more than she did. Not that I'm surprised. Here's the backstory. Last Saturday, Brielle texted me saying she and her friend Devin were going to make cookies if I wanted to join. At first, I was hesitant. I knew she felt obligated to invite me, and I doubted that we had anything in common. I mean, I wear bright patterns and unexpected combinations while she dresses like she's about to hit up a tea party. But I really wanted cookies, and I needed to get out of my house. Mom and I pulled the tile out that morning, and everything was getting covered in a layer of fine dust. I feel like I'm going to get lung disease from breathing much of it in. Brielle lives in exactly the kind of house you would have guessed. First, you walk through an iron gate, and then there's through the front double front doors with a large knocker. Inside is decorated like all the home accounts on MyTube. Potted plants on floating shelves, walls covered with giant mirrors, and photos of her smiling on the beach with her parents. Devin bailed, so it ended up being just Brielle and me. She took charge of the cookie making. I mostly measured the ingredients. It was going okay, even though we were mostly talking about the things on her to-do list, and I knew I was one of those things. To be fair, when I showed her my fashion account, she loved it, which was flattering. I almost asked if she'd given my account a shout-out, but I didn't want to push it. She has tons of followers, so it'd be nice to get some of them to check me out. Most of my followers only follow me because there are also fashion accounts that they want to follow back. It's faker than middle school. After we put the cookies in the oven, Brielle's mom came in with hair in her curlers and started asking me about where I lived and what I like to do. Then she started going over student council campaign strategies with Brielle. She wanted to pass out donut holes with a note attached on a toothpick saying, "Do not think twice. Vote for Brielle." Brielle apologized afterward for her mom butting in, but I didn't mind. She's lucky her mom cares enough to ask about her life. It used to be like that with my mom. Ever since DeAndre died, she only talks about renovations. We can't all be perfect families. The cookies turned out amazing, partially because we were using these large, chunky Ghirardelli chocolate chips. We separated some of the cookies out for the girls in Brielle's church group, and Brielle let me take the rest since she's on a sugar-free diet with her mom. Why people would put themselves through that kind of torture is beyond me. Anyway, hanging out was obviously a one-time thing. At least I got cookies out of it. All that baking gave me an idea. Mom probably hated it, but I'm going to bring it up to her tonight. DeAndre's birthday is next Wednesday, and I want to do something special for him. I also want an excuse to invite Dad over. He lives an hour and a half away, and I haven't seen him in almost 2 months. He and Mom are going through a divorce. That's right, my brother died and my parents are splitting up. Sometimes I feel like a walking Lifetime movie. The counselor Mom made me talk to after we moved here told me that couples are more likely to split up after the death of a child. Isn't that messed up? You'd think death would bring people together and help them realize how much they love each other. For some families it does, but for us, DeAndre's death turned my parents into zombies who stopped loving each other. Real life is so upside down sometimes. The thing that makes me the angriest, like want to punch a hole in our newly textured walls angry, is the exact opposite of what DeAndre would have wanted. People sometimes say he's watching over us. I'm not sure about that, because I bet in heaven they have more interesting things to do than pay attention to boring old earth. What if he does take a peek every now and then? How would he feel knowing his death drove my parents apart? Right before the funeral, I was hiding under my bed covers. I didn't want to face all those people telling me they were sorry, when they could never understand. Mom came into my room and gave me a hug and a kiss on the forehead. She told me the best way to honor DeAndre was to keep our chins up and live our lives to the fullest. She said that hard things make us stronger or weaker. We can choose to either be a potato or egg. Both get put in boiling water, but the egg gets hard and the potato gets soft. I guess you're supposed to be the egg. I felt like the potato, and since my parents gave up on their marriage, they ended up being potatoes too. If Mom could only have taken their own advice. That's why I want DeAndre to be able to see some good things. On the chance he looks down, I want him to see how he influenced me to become a fashion designer. I want him to see us all together on his birthday, eating a cake I baked in his honor. His favorite was German chocolate. Maybe I could even throw in some good kind of chocolate chips that Brielle had at her house.